What second language should English speakers learn? It depends where you live because it should be the next most used language in your area. Really depends on location and plans. What culture, country, geography draw your attention? Becoming fluent in a foreign language takes a lot of time and effort. If you are not interested in the country, culture, it is very likely to give up on the halfway. Your passion for the country will keep your interest alive. JavaScript, Spanish and ASL. ASL depends where you live and what you do. The sign language popular where you live is a good bet. But if you're living in Texas, for example, Spanish would probably be more useful. English-speaking Americans should learn Spanish. English-speaking Europeans should learn German. English-speaking Australians should learn Chinese. Living in San Francisco, there are a lot of Japanese tourists. So it's fun to give directions and listen into their conversations. I would learn Japanese so I can turn off subtitles. Why are people saying ASL? I am certainly not against this, but percentage-wise in the US you could communicate with far more people by learning Spanish than ASL, C++, and maybe Python. Spanish. It's easy and a lot of countries speaks it. Depends on where you are. Here in the US speaking Spanish as a second language can be really useful. I'm very happy having learned Spanish. I'm currently traveling in South America, where speaking it not only lets me communicate with Uber drivers, local concert goers, etc., but also makes me feel like I'm a part of this place. Sign. Or us Americans, we should probably learn English first. French or Spanish. Just any. If you're gonna travel a lot, French and Spanish is spoken in so many countries. I would love to learn French tbh. French if you're in Canada. Spanish if you're in the US. Spanish. 1/2 billion native Spanish speakers in the world. I mean, if you're an American, which besides the usual internet jingoism, is the largest group of native English speakers. The number 2 and number 3 languages are Spanish and American Sign Language. So I would start there so you can talk to more Americans. Spanish makes the most sense for most Americans. I would say you should aim first for usefulness, like Spanish or Mandarin, as well as the language of your ancestors as an third language. If is not one widely spoken language already, learn the one that you'll have the most opportunities to practice. I have studied several languages, but I only remember and speak the ones I use. But most Spanish speakers in the US have no money. I'm learning Japanese due to the industry I work in. Lot of Japanese guys who know a lot of stuff and make a lot of equipment, so being able to converse with less of a language barrier would be useful. Klingon. The actual answer is the one you are interested in and the one you will use the most, but that is a very boring answer, so I will try to give some general advice. If you live in the US, learn Spanish. It's by the far the most popular second language to learn given the close proximity to Mexico and centuries of emigration between the two cultures. If you live in Canada, learn French because of Quebec and the large amount of French speakers in Canada. If you go to South America, Spanish or Portuguese. If you want to live in Brazil, Spanish will give you a lot more options, but Brazil is the bigger country in Brazil and will have a lot of opportunities for you. If you are in Europe or in the EU, I'd suggest either German or French, especially if you want to do business in Europe, as those are the working languages of the EU. Italian and Spanish are also very influential languages, but French and German are heavily pushed. French does not have as many speakers as German, but the French are very proud of their language and so push to get other countries to speak it. Whilst many Germans speak English better than you will. If you are in Eastern Europe or outside the EU, then either German or Russian will get you through most areas. If a person does not speak one of the languages, chances are they will speak the other. The further east you go, the more Russian will be spoken. If you like Middle East, your choice is Arabic. Every country has their own version of Arabic, and Standard Arabic is more of a baseline for you to learn the individual dialect of that culture, but if you like that area of the world, nothing will top Arabic. If you like Africa, French or Arabic will be ideal. They are not the most spoken languages natively, and if you really want to be appreciated, learn the local language of the country, but for ease of access, Arabic and French would let you talk to most of the country. For Asia, it's hard to recommend a specific language because of how vast the continent is. Mandarin Chinese is the most spoken language in the world, but not really spoken outside China. Japan and Korea are similar, with a lot of speakers but very few outside Japan. For Southeast Asia, India has over 20 official languages, but Hindi should get you through most of it given the government's push for more people to learn it. Indonesian is underrated for the amount of native speakers it has. And Tagalog is kind of a mix between English and Spanish, so very easy for Western people to pick up. Asia does not really have a few languages that dominate like in the West, so it's better to learn the language of the place you want to travel to. And again, these are general rules. It's better to learn a language you are interested in that you will speak often. If you live in Sweden, it's good to learn Swedish. If you do go to Sweden, you will be annoyed because the Swedes will speak better English than you. But many won't, and they will be super happy you are learning their language.